What's up, everybody? Today on Backpacking TV, I am very excited to be testing out some brand new winter boots. So KEEN has been kind enough to send me their lineup of the Revel IV Polar Winter Boot. So they have several options here depending on how beefy you need to go. They've got the boots with 400 grams of insulation, really high cut, beefy boot. Then they've got your mid-weight 200 grams of insulation boot here. And then they have the Chelsea boot, which is their more urban boot. So I'm gonna be testing out their lineup and seeing how it goes. Just got a few inches of snow here, so it's a nice cold winter day with some fresh snowfall. Should be a perfect day on the trail. With that in mind, let's go get after it. Okay, so I've actually been out and hiking with these boots now for multiple hours, getting some good mileage in and trudging through some deep snow, occasionally some way too deep snow for just being in hiking boots and regular hiking pants. But that's all part of the test. So I've been really excited to, see what these can handle, throw some snow at them, get some snow down the ankles and, really just see what they're capable of. The interesting thing about the Revel 4 series of polar boots from KEEN is that one, they have insane insulation. This has 200 grams of insulation and are rated down to -25 degrees Fahrenheit. And these have 400 grams of insulation and are rated down to -40 Fahrenheit. So for any of you polar explorers out there, these are going to be some awesome boots for you. And then, of course, the other cool thing is that they also have a lineup of urban boots here in the same line that have the same grip, the same tread, that are really also geared for more urban living. Now, the warmth is a very exciting part of these boots, but it is not the only thing that's really important. So actually, maybe the most exciting thing about these boots is the tread. Now, what KEEN has done is they are actually Snowflake Rated on these boots. Now, if you don't know what that means, you're probably not alone, and it is not a political reference. We're not talking about how liberal these boots are, but these are Snowflake Rated, which, thanks to Canada and all of the life that they have to spend around ice, it refers to the traction. So a Snowflake Rated boot means that these can be on ice, I believe at a 7-degree slope, wet or dry, and these will still grip, which is pretty insane to think about. And how do they do that? Well, they don't do it just by the rubber, but they do it because they put little fiberglass shards into the rubber here that is actually sticking out. You can't feel it, doesn't hurt your fingers or anything like, ow, no, it doesn't hurt your fingers like that. But that's actually on a microscopic scale is gripping that ice. So that is, to me, just really, really stinking cool. And each of these boots have it. The mid, the full, and the Chelsea, which is their urban boot. So I love that you can be, up on the mountain on an icy trail, and then you can take them off and go into their urban section for, after hours, après skiing, whatever it might be. And you can still have that security on the trail or on an icy sidewalk, wherever you might be, and feel good about your grip. So I'm just going to let you know what KEEN has to say about these boots, and then we're going to break it down and see if it actually holds up with a real test. Okay, according to KEEN, the Revel 4 polar boots have the agility of a light hiker and the warmth of a down jacket. We built these men's winter boots with active frigid days in mind, with 200 grams of insulation on the mid and heat-trapping materials underfoot. It gives you an exceptional grip on snow and ice. Each of these boots have Snowflake Rated traction thanks to the KEEN.Polar Traction technology. They're rated either to -40 or -25 degrees Fahrenheit. They boast waterproof leather on the exterior and have that famous KEEN fit. They all have environmentally preferred leather and PFC water repellency. These boots have KEEN Dry technology, which is a proprietary waterproof breathable membrane that lets vapor out without letting water in. Those are some of the details from KEEN. A few other things to note. These retail in at $200, the high cut boot, and the mids retail at $190. Let's first talk about their performance. And honestly, I have been really, really impressed. I'm out here. Yesterday I got a 6-inch snowstorm in my backyard area on the home mountain. And just the week before, we got 14 inches of snow. So the snow actually has some pretty deep zones out here. And I've been hiking out around mostly without gaiters because I want to be able to give these boots a test, not just see how good the gaiters perform, but how good do these boots perform. So some things to note is, as expected, on the mid-cut boot, I definitely have a little bit of snow entering into my ankle area. And that's to be expected without using a gaiter to really help, because it's just really hard to get a perfect cinch. And with the lower cut of the boot, your pants tend to ride up a little bit, and then some of that snow as you're hiking and post holing through 20 inches of snow is just inevitably going to work its way down into the boot a little bit around that ankle area. So this did get a little bit wet around my ankle area, but most importantly, my feet stayed comfortable, and especially like below this ankle, I was perfectly dry and my feet were warm the whole time. Now, I wasn't always just hiking, which is a lot easier to stay warm and comfortable when you're active and the sun is shining. But sometimes I was just standing around out here in the shade of the trees, just trying to get a feel for how my feet would feel as I'm not, working up a sweat or, moving a lot and getting that blood flow moving. Now, I did notice with the higher cut boots, as I was trudging through that deep snow, as expected, they did a much better job of keeping that snow out. And part of that is due to the fact that it's just a higher cut. So it's much easier for your pants to stay cinched around that ankle right there and allow for fewer opportunities for that snow to come in, even if you're going in knee-deep snow. But also, because you have so much more material to cinch around your ankles, you can really cinch that up and keep this tight, and the snow just really doesn't have an opportunity to work its way in. Now, of course, with saying that, if I'm gonna be doing a long expedition back to a hut or something like that where I'm snowshoeing or even just hiking without snowshoes and I'm going through deep snow, I would recommend pairing it with a pair of gaiters, just because it's gonna make yourself that much more impervious to snow getting in. But the snow had no chance of getting in through this outsole, through the tongue, or anything like that. It just is a really nice boot for keeping that snow out through these materials. Now, today we have sun shining, which means we have snow melting, which means, your boot might be exposed to that moisture because it's not super, super cold. It's right around 30 degrees today, so with the sun shining, it does tend to melt a little bit. And I had no problem with these getting wet or saturated or anything like that. So I really, really like that. So let's break it down into a couple of categories. First, how do these handle in terms of comfort? Well, honestly, these kick some serious booty here with the comfort. I was super impressed right off the bat. Sometimes you put on brand new boots and it takes some time to work them in to kind of get that comfortability associated with a new pair of boots. But these were super awesome right off the bat. Started hiking with them. Been wearing them actually for a few days now, even just around town, around my home, just to see if they're comfortable or if I'm just dying to take them off. And these are dead comfortable boots. I really, really like them. Next, how breathable are these boots? And honestly, I felt like they were awesome at their breathability. These will require a little bit more time in the boot on my part to really understand through multiple types of conditions, colder weather, blizzards, sleet and snow, actively coming down upon me to really know. But on first test with multiple hours in these boots, I felt like I wasn't working up a sweat. What sweat I was generating was able to escape. And then the water that did kind of work its way around here was able to also escape. Really wasn't working its way down into the boot where I was worried about it further in my toe box or anything like that. And my feet just felt comfortable inside the boot all the time. And with a winter boot, that's my biggest fear, is am I just gonna create a super sweaty, moist environment? Because there's no way for all that heat that these generate intentionally for that moisture to exit the boot. These really did a great job with that too. Now, how do these boots handle grip? Now, I think I can easily say that is where these excel the most. So I am so impressed by this fiberglass technology, whatever they're doing, their polar traction. It is so interesting to me. I had no idea that I could feel as confident as I do in these boots on slippery, icy streets, maybe, sidewalks or the building entrance ramps that ice over after a storm, things like that, but also trails, that get compacted, that, the trail starts to get compacted and you've got some slope, feeling like you're really at risk and you got to really slow down and be careful. I felt super confident in these boots the whole time. So I really like that. I will say with a caveat that if you are going to an icy condition hiking area, I might, like, let's say the Grand Canyon would be a perfect example, where the upper area really has a lot of steep sections that just get pure iced out. Because there's cliffs and because there's things like that, I would still recommend taking some crampons or some yak tracks or just whatever small additional traction spikes to attach. But if I'm not doing something really aggressive like that, I don't think you need them. I think you're going to do just fine with the grip and the traction that these tread provide. And another thing that's really cool about these boots is they actually create a really nice toe lip and heel place for crampons to attach if you so desire. Now, if you're going to be doing some full scale ice climbing, you might want some boots that are a little bit more intentional about adding on to the crampons. But if you're just doing some hiking and you want to throw those crampons on, it's really awesome to have a boot that can handle that. And also these boots would be perfectly well suited for adding into snowshoes. You don't need to get something special. You can just wear these boots with snowshoes as well. So that's also very exciting if you're into snowshoeing. Now let's start talking about value. Who are these boots for? At $200 and $190, I think that's pretty good value. It's probably anything around $200 or less I start getting excited about as being a little bit more accessible for people when they need to get into a winter boot or a more aggressive ice, snow, traction kind of boot. Sometimes those pieces of footwear can get hugely expensive, $250, $350, and that just gets really inaccessible to people. So I think it's a pretty good value for people who live in a winter climate or who want to be doing some good winter adventures, whether or not it's mountaineering or hiking or snowshoeing, hut-to-hut experiences. These are going to be great boots right at $200 or under $200. So I start to get excited about that because that means that your general hiking population can afford these and are worth adding into your arsenal. Now, I live in Arizona, and some of these boots might be overkill, especially these here, rated at -40 degrees. If I live here and I'm not doing some polar expeditions, I feel like these might be overkill for me. However, if I live in Saskatchewan or Finland or somewhere just where you're gonna have a lot more cold to deal with on a consistent basis, more times where you just need to navigate life and not just only trails with some good warmth boots and some good traction, then these boots are gonna kick some serious ass for you. I think that I would highly recommend it for anybody who lives in the north, or I guess in the southern hemisphere, in the deep south, anywhere closer to where you just have a consistent winter climate part of the year around. These boots are going to be really, really awesome for you. In conclusion, the Revel IV Polar Boot from KEEN is a seriously awesome winter boot. And if you haven't done winter hiking, winter backpacking, just winter adventures because you feel like you don't have the gear or you're unprepared, having a good pair of footwear is going to go a long way to feeling comfortable, to feeling warm, to having good traction, to feeling confident on the trail, on sidewalks, wherever it might be. And I totally recommend these boots. These are going to be something that you're going to be happy with for a good long time. I also love that they have an urban pair that I can complement this with and feel good going grocery shopping or just being around town on the slippery, icy, sleety streets, wherever I might be. So if you're interested in checking these out, check out KEEN.com and check out the Revel IV Polar series. They're pretty awesome. I think you're going to like them. That's it. That's my review. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It definitely helps us out here at Backpacking TV. And if you have thoughts, if you have questions, hit me up in the section below, in the comments section below. And I'd love to be able to help answer anything you might be interested in or any critiques that you may have. Or if you've tried these out, I want to hear from you. That's it from me. I'm going to go trudge around in some snow and throw some snowballs at our cameraman here. And I'm going to see you later here. I'm Eric Hansen. Peace out, everybody. Ha, 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 ha.